All right, greetings all, it's Max and we're back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some breaking news. Now, in the last video we covered pretty much the crisis actors are getting hired and put into position for the Washington, D.C. trucker rally thing, whatever that they're doing. And today comes out that Trudeau unleashes the Emergency Powers Act, I guess from under the bed that he's hiding in, that the Emergency Powers Act is basically the government and military are allowed to do whatever they want to, as long as they consider somebody a threat. So here's how it works: is like, yeah, everyone has rights until we pass an act that says nobody has any rights, and that's how these things are done. So it's okay, to go after the Canadian protesters and beat them down and violate their rights and lock them up and do all these things that are completely unethical, just like the old Nazi Germany. As long as you have an Emergency Powers Act, then it's all good, right? Because somebody voted on that 100 years ago to say we can do whatever we want. And so it's funny, though, that the old Trudeau's daddy was the last person to enact the Emergency Powers Act, which was during a 1970 riot that they wanted to break up when people had some problems with the old government. So that's what's going on in Canada. And amazingly, just pure coincidentally, there is a thing going on here, a bulletin from Homeland Security in the old United States. And we are going to read through this. This is effectively the same thing, to where we've got this advisory, and we'll cover who they're looking at. That's going to go from February 7th to June 7th is when this advisory is out there, which kind of says the same thing, but there is no law or no act. It's just, basically says that every American is now an enemy of the state, given certain circumstances. Like if, say, you don't like the cooties thing, you don't like the mask thing, and you don't like, you think the elections are fraudulent, whatever, then you're an enemy of the state. And yeah, so that's what that is. But first, I want to say something here. The people that are out there, I know a lot of people are waking up a little bit to what's going on with all the protests around. Obviously, there's a lot of people who kind of get it now, but there are also a fair number of people who don't get it, like the guys who are complaining about honking in Canada. Some people here in America who want their businesses to be fully masked and fully jabbed and all of this other stuff, that they just don't quite get it. And if you know some of those people, I want you, just so you know where these people are coming, I want you to ask them if they were to say it's illegal, or you can't wear a mask, or you cannot get the jab, if they would feel as strongly to fight for their rights to keep the mask or to get the jab, like go to flee the country or quit their job if their job says you cannot get a jab and work here, if they would fight for that, or if they would just go, oh, okay, would they immediately turn around and start calling out their buddies who like to wear masks and need to get jabbed and all that? Who are these people? Because what they don't understand is, these people who want to say you're just a Trump supporter, and you're just a whatever, and you're just a racist, and you're just a this and that and the other thing. These people don't realize that, let's just say in 2 years, Trump was put back in. And what if Trump goes around and says anybody who didn't like me or whatever gets rounded up? Okay. Anybody who liked the cooties nonsense, anybody who fought for that gets rounded up. Okay. When we have a regime change, anybody who voted for Biden, let's round them up. Right. This is the kind of thing that the people in Canada, America, and France, and all around the world, is the kind of freedoms that we're fighting for. And if you're in there huffing and puffing on your mask, you just can't stand the person who won't put one on or won't get the jab. You just don't get it. And, if you ask some of these people that question, and they're not going to have a response for it. As you know, they're NPCs, and they're effectively meaningless to the world. Their life has no meaning. Whatever the government says, little automaton drones. So, with that being said now, we're going to look at the Homeland Security thing. And, you know, I do a live stream, but it's Valentine's Day, and I don't want to do a 3-hour stream or something because it's going to take a while to go through this. If I did a stream and you know, talk to everybody. So we're just going to go through this. My little video, my one-time shot, so if I make a mistake, you get to forgive me. Summary of terrorism threat to the U.S. homeland. Uh-oh, I got flagged now because I read it. I read that word. I'm going to be on a list now. The United States remains in heightened threat environment fueled by several factors, including an online environment, filled with false or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories, and other forms of mis, dis, and malinformation. Look at this. They got a new acronym, MDM. They just like creating words out of thin air, don't they? Introduced and or amplified by foreign and domestic threat actors. See, apparently, if you have a problem with the cooties, you got a problem with the mandates, you got a problem with all this stuff that is completely immoral and completely illegal, you're a domestic threat actor. Okay? Domestic threat actor. These threat actors seek to exacerbate societal friction, to sow discord, and undermine public trust in government. Oh, okay. So what, the news media? Because according to this, that's basically who you should lock up, is anybody affiliated with the news media. Institutions to encourage unrest, which could potentially inspire acts of violence. Mass casualty attacks and other acts of targeted violence conducted by lone offenders and small groups acting in furtherance of ideological... It can't be ideological. We got to have a wishy-washy, there is no truth, there is no truth, there is no good or bad. It's really just a matter of a person's personal point of view. It doesn't matter if you think you're a rabbit or a cow or a kitty cat or a man or woman or whatever you want to believe. You can't have an ideological belief. And or personal grievances pose an ongoing threat to the nation. Oh, we're going to war against the domestic people. While the conditions underlying the heightened threat landscape have not significantly changed over the past year, so this is just something that's going on in the last year, the convergence of the following factors has increased the volatility, unpredictability, and complexity of the threat environment. The proliferation of false or misleading narratives, which sow discord or undermine the public trust in the U.S. government institutions. Nobody trusts the government. If you do, you're a fool. Nobody trusts the government. Nobody's trusted the government for 100 years. Ever since the founding fathers who built the government did not trust the government. That's why the Fourth Amendment exists. Continued calls for... that's going to get me on the list. Continued calls for violence directed at U.S. critical infrastructure, soft targets, and mass gatherings. Faith-based institutions such as churches, synagogues, and mosques, institutions of higher education, racial and religious minorities, government facilities, and personnel, including law enforcement and the military and the media, and perceived ideological opponents. Calls by foreign terrorist organizations for attacks on the United States based on recent events. Well, I don't know what this is. Foreign organizations for attacks on the U.S.? Don't know anything about that. But most of this stuff is talking about the people that are in the country. Several states they're talking about. The old Florida and Texas and some other states out there. They're pretty much on this list. Additional details. The primary threat to the United States continues to stem from lone offenders or small cells of individuals who are motivated by a range of foreign and or domestic grievances, often cultivated through consumption of certain online content. Well, why don't they specify, right? We can't have specificity in there because then you'd have laws that don't cover every single body inside the United States or affiliated with the United States. The convergence of violent extremist ideologies. We went from people who watch a certain type of television or YouTube videos to violent extremist ideologies. False, misleading narratives and conspiracy theories all will contribute to the heightened threat of violence in the United States. You know, who's the one who is right here in putting this out that looks like they're inciting violence? It looks to me like Department of Homeland Security are the ones that are inciting violence now. They are the ones actively gearing up to incite violence against people they don't like, who say things that they don't like, maybe people who park their trucks in places they don't like. Key factors contributing to the current heightened threat environment include proliferation or false misleading narratives which sow discord, undermine public trust in U.S. government institutions. For example, the widespread online proliferation of false or misleading narratives regarding unsubstantiated widespread election fraud and cooties. It's funny. I mean, are we still talking about election fraud after all this time? I mean, really? Nobody believes that Biden won the election. Do we even still talk about that? No. Don't talk about that. And they get the thing where, Hillary said that there was fraud and that's how Trump won. So now when Biden wins over Trump, now obviously they're going to say it's fraud the other way, but it's a big deal. We got the right, those people who believe in rights and God and freedom, we can't have that. Malign foreign powers have continued to amplify these false or misleading narratives in an effort to damage the United States. Yeah, and some places outside the United States that aren't controlled by the United States Media Corporation and the CIA that say, "Hey, America, look what your government's doing." Pretty nice of them, doing a public service. Continued calls for violence directed at U.S. critical infrastructure. Soft targets and mass gatherings, faith-based institutions, synagogues and mosques. Well, I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything about that. I don't think that Russia wants to go take out any churches. Yeah, it's not really Department of Homeland Security's problem on that, I don't think. They're doing a bang-up job. I mean, how many church shootings have they had in the last, couple of years? Quite a few. You guys are doing a great job at Homeland Security. Foreign terrorist organizations, domestic threat actors continue to amplify pre-existing false or misleading narratives to sow discord. Oh, it's online this, online that. Hey, guys, welcome to the lockdown internet we're going to be having here. Because of sowing discord and misinformation, right? Where we are in 1984. Violent extremists inspired by a range of grievances and ideologies continue. I love they keep using ideologies. It's like I don't think they know what this word means. Right? I don't think they understand what this word means. It means they're trying for the ideal thing. I mean, I guess they don't like ideologies because ideally, we wouldn't need a government, right? Ideally. Continue to target crowded venues traditionally perceived to be soft targets, such as commercially implemented, blah, blah, blah. Recent attack on synagogue. Let's see. Threats directed at historically black colleges and universities and other colleges and universities, Jewish facilities, churches, cause concerns for extremists. Nobody's threatening these places. As cooties restrictions continue to decrease nationwide, increased access to commercial and government facilities at the rising numbers of mass gatherings provide an increase of opportunities for individuals looking to commit acts of stuff. So anyways, they're saying that they're ramping down on the cooties narrative. How do they know? How does Department of Homeland Security know? Interesting. Let's see. Extremists have also viewed attacks against the U.S. critical infrastructure as a means to create chaos and advance ideological goals. They keep talking about these ideological goals, but they don't say what they are. What if the ideological goal is something that maybe their Department of Homeland Security people agree with? They don't say what the ideological goal is. I mean, wouldn't like freedom to do with your body as you please and not get forced medically injected with poison? And maybe that's an ideological goal? Oh, wait, DHS is probably, they probably are waived. Like the cops are waived and all of the, well, the military's not waived, funny enough. But in Canada, all their police and people, they're waived. They don't have to get cooties. They don't have to get cooties. Have recently aspired to disrupt U.S. electric and communications and infrastructure and blah 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 and 5G. Yeah, none of that's real. None of this stuff. Yeah, domestic extremists going after that stuff. That's not real. They're taking their trucks and parking them on bridges and blocking off the border. That's what they're doing. Uh, People continue to activate for violence in response to false or misleading narratives about unsubstantiated election fraud. Months preceding upcoming 2022 midterm elections could provide additional opportunities for these people and other individuals to call forth violence. Democratic institutions, political candidates, party offices, and people are probably going to keep a little closer eye on their elections and the people that are involved in it. I'm guessing that might happen. Yeah, probably. A small number of threat factors are attempting to evacuation and resettlement of Afghan nationals following the U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan last year as a means to exacerbate a long-standing grievance and justify attacks against immigrants. So they're saying that people are mad that Afghani refugees are here. So they're saying racist. So essentially you've got people who were Trump supporters, disenfranchised Trump supporters, probably white middle class people. They were also racists, and they probably have guns because they're Americans. And they probably maybe listen to Alex Jones from time to time, and they're probably, a little more aware of what's going on, like maybe a truck driver or somebody who actually works for a living, as opposed to sit around the office and see how they can virtue signal to their person in the other cubicle about how good they are and virtue signal to their boss and pretend to do work, right, for 8 hours. Pretend to do work like your 2 hours of work you actually do in the 8-hour day. Yeah. Calls by foreign terrorist organizations for attacks in the United States based on recent events. Foreign organizations will likely continue to maintain a highly visible online presence to attempt to inspire U.S.-based individuals to engage in violent activity. I haven't heard anyone talk about any sort of violence yet. Supporters of terrorist organizations have encouraged copycat attacks following January 15th on the synagogue. Does anyone know about this synagogue in Texas? They keep bringing it up. I was completely unaware of anything that happened with that. I'm sure people will probably know more about that. Remain intent on targeting United States and U.S. persons may seek to capitalize on the evolving security environment overseas. The Islamic State of Iraq and ISIS or its affiliates may issue public calls for retaliation due to the strike that killed a guy, some dude over there in Iraq. Now, see, as far as I was aware, we took over Iraq, right? And as far as I was aware, ISIS is actually Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda is a CIA-funded operation, and who became ISIS when we decided to send them into Libya to pretend, go after the embassy or whatever they did there. Yeah. How we are responding. DHS and the FBI continue to share timely and actionable information and intelligence. See, one of the things that came out of the 2001 are the security, everybody's a slave, everybody's a criminal, everybody's an enemy of the state, the Homeland Security Bill or whatever, was, you had your different departments that used to be in charge of different things. And then they had this thing where they opened the doors where everyone can share information, right? Because the reason that the hijackers were able to get the planes is because they were on all these lists, but nobody could talk to each other, right? Well, what it did was open the door so that the information that they collected on the citizens could be shared between all the different departments. So now you have CIA and FBI basically sharing all the information, and the CIA is not supposed to be operating in America, but obviously, in that they control all the media. Obviously they're operating in America, on the turf. So, and DHS, FBI, all these guys, man, all these guys. We conduct hearing threat briefings to private sector, state, local, tribal, territorial, and campus partners, including to inform security planning efforts. DHS remains committed to working with our partners to identify and prevent all forms of targeted violence and to support law enforcement's efforts to keep our communities safe. Well, who's going to protect us from you? I don't know. So, DHS's Office of Intelligence. So DHS has their own Office of Intelligence and Analysis now. And it's establishing a new dedicated domestic terrorism branch to produce sound and timely intelligence needed to see, we already have this. We already have these things. We have how many different internal security forces, but DHS wants more money. The department expanded its evaluation of online activity as part of its efforts to assess and prevent acts of violence, so they're spying on your stuff too, while ensuring the protection of privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. Well, that seems like an oxymoron, right? You're spying on everybody, but you're protecting privacy. Interesting. DHS's Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships provide communities with resources and tools to help prevent individuals from radicalizing to violence. In 2021, they were awarded $20 million in grants. What? Give me some money. In 2021, DHS designated domestic violence extremism as national priority area. What? Domestic extremism. Where is it? Are you talking like inner city or something? Resulting in at least $77 million being spent on preventing, preparing for, protecting against, and responding to related threats. So they got their $77 million stockpile to come after people who listen to Alex Jones. In 2021, DHS's nonprofit security grant program provided $180 million in funding to support target hardening and other physical security enhancements to nonprofit organizations at risk of attack. Well, that was nice of everybody in America to pay for. That was nice of everybody in America to involuntarily send their money to nonprofit organizations. So DHS is now GoFundMe, or you pay taxes and they just spend the money. You know, we'll just give it to corporations. We'll bail out banks. We'll send it to nonprofit organizations. Sure. DHS is working with public and private partners as well as foreign counterparts to identify and evaluate MDM. Oh, we got to look up what MDM is again. False or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories spread on social media and other online platforms that endorse or could inspire violence. DHS's cybersecurity and infrastructure security agencies. Look, they have another one. They have another agency. So Department of Homeland Security now, just in here, has mentioned 3 different agencies. These are just the ones that are mentioned. How many more little baby agencies do we have that's all about controlling what the people inside the country do? Time to go to Mexico, guys. Time to go to Mexico. Just get out. And I realize that there's some good states, right, that seem like they're better, like Texas. But Texas has a whole mess load of problems. What's going on with all their jails in Texas? Why they got so many jails? Why do they criminalize everything? Why do you go to jail for a year if you got a joint, right? There's dumb stuff. Dumb stuff. DHS's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency works with public and private sector patterns, including U.S. critical infrastructure owners and operators, to mitigate risk against our cyber and physical infrastructure and increase nationwide cybersecurity resilience. You know what would increase resilience is decentralization. Would increase resilience. And this is why, guys, with all this stuff rolling on, you gotta get into decentralization. You gotta get into private. Get off of Facebook. Get into decentralized private communication. Look into stuff like that. Instead of something like people who play video games and use Discord, use TeamSpeak. Use something different. You never know. You'd be joking about something and some computer's going to put you on a list somewhere, right? All I'm doing is reading the report. And just about everything in here probably gets me flagged for something. How you can help. Stay informed and prepared. Be prepared for emergency situations. Remain aware of circumstances that place you at risk. Make note of your surroundings and the nearest security personnel. Right. Keep yourself safe online and maintain digital and media literacy. I'm wondering what this actually opens to. 4 things to do to keep yourself cyber safe. Look at here it is. Turn on multi-factor authentication, update your software, think before you click, and use strong passwords. None of this stuff protects you from anything. Okay, maybe two-factor authentication will protect you where someone actually has to physically have your device. But the people you need to watch out for already have backdoors into your computer. And you know what makes your computer more vulnerable? Updating certain pieces of software like Windows updates where, you know, they got backdoors in there so the Department of Homeland Security can sneak a peek. Or run Unix, Linux, run VPNs. They don't tell you anything that's actually really good against stopping stuff. Okay. Let's see. Oh, geez. All right. Well, that's the article that came out today as their security bulletin. I'm sure it's just a coincidence they're doing this at the same time that Trudeau unleashes his Emergency Powers Act, being that we have truckers blocking the northern borders there into Canada on both sides. The billionaires are losing the money. The billionaires are losing the money. We need to have our cars made slightly cheaper in Canada and shipped down here, but they can't get the parts. They can't get the parts because they're blocked. The border's blocked. Somebody is costing people money. We can't have that. Let's call up the government. Let's call up those people that we pay for in Washington and have them do something about these truckers. All hail the mighty dollar. That's all it comes down to. All hail the mighty dollar. And so, yeah, they want to go after... and, you know, they, of course, GoFundMe wanted to give away everybody's money that they donated to support the trucker people. And then there's another one of like a GoFundMe sort of deal who was also accepting donations, and they raised $10 million. And then someone went in and somebody, mysteriously, who knows who could have done it, hacked that platform and released all the names and all the information of everybody who had donated and just doxed everybody who had donated. Now, who has the technology and the ability and the ease of use to do that? Who has that? And who would actually do that? Who would take time out of their day and be so mad at those truckers that they would actually hack a platform like a GoFundMe just to release the names of the people who donated? I wonder. So these guys, they ain't playing nice. And people who think that you can just sit on your hands and not do anything about anything, and well, we'll just wait till it's over, and you know, we'll just, or the people who are given in to take the jab at this point, it's like, nah, this is not getting any better. It's like the opportunity for actually making something of a difference, or at least being heard, is kind of now. Because they're putting all the things right now where they're just saying, now it's legal to not have any laws and the state can do anything. See, we have an Emergency Powers Act that says we can do whatever we want. Whoopsie. I was just following orders. They had an Emergency Powers Act. It was following orders. It was legal because they had an act. It was legal for them to do that. Right? They had an act. I don't know. It should shape up to be very interesting. We're looking for some obvious false flags going to be coming with the crisis actors being hired to be putting in place in Washington, D.C. And who knows about the trucker thing that's going to go to Washington and what they're doing. And whether or not that's legit or not, I don't know. But they're shaping everything up so that they have everybody all set to go and money's in place so that we can say everybody's the boogeyman. And yeah. So that's what I have on that. This is kind of breaking news that I wanted to get out before I kind of forget about it. And, oh, yes, and Texas. Good news from Texas. This is why Texas is very confronting. Like, oh, it's got a split personality. See, Texas is suing Facebook for billions upon billions of dollars because they're not allowed. Facebook is using facial recognition software. It's like, duh. They've been doing that since Facebook existed. And that's what the whole point of Facebook. That's why it's called Facebook. So that they can scan people's photographs. And they hope that that's why you have the ability to name people and attach their profiles to pictures. So when you hover over the picture, it says who's in the picture. That's so Facebook can use that and give that over to the CIA and to the DHS and to everybody else. Okay? It's pretty obvious. I thought people would have known this. But apparently it's against the law in a couple of states. I think Illinois sued Facebook and got like, a few $100 million or something, or close to $1 billion. And now Texas got the bright idea that they're going to do it too. And whichever other states have have laws in place to protect biometric data of the citizens of their state. The only thing that matters is what state you're a citizen of, not the country. Okay. And so hopefully that goes through and, these states sue Facebook out of existence. Because I think Texas is going for like, $500 billion or something. Yeah. Seeks hundreds of billions of dollars in civil penalties because they're charging them for every infraction for the last 10 years on every single user. And they figure that it's 20 million Texans have had their stuff stolen by Facebook. And I think they're going for the maximum fine of $175,000 per infraction. So that's a good thing. I mean, this is like, yeah, Texas, you got some really good stuff. Now, what's going on with the whole drug laws? What's going on with that? What's going on with all your prisons? Why is your economy based on prisons? You get some real problems. But this is a good thing. And with that, guys, that's all the news we got. We're going to be out of here.